are you a narcissist?
I hope not, and I don't think so. I think it is an understanding of I can do something,
Yeah.
not I can do everything.
Sure.
I can do something.
But to be the president, to be the mayor, you have to be able to do a lot, right? I have to
Yes,
play
but-
all. You want to do a sports analogy? Michael Jordan thought he could play for the White Sox too.
Yeah.
Like you're that guy. Like I can do all this stuff. I have the ideas. I've figured this out. I think I know the solution to that stuff. And let me ask you another question. On the other end of 2 terms as mayor, Bill, I mean, income inequality, you ran on that.
Yeah.
Look at this fucking city now. And that Zohran's running on that, and he's winning on that. You couldn't solve that.
Well, hold on. The city independent budget office, which was quite independent, I assure you,
Yeah.
did an analysis at the end of my administration. And the question was not, did we quote unquote solve it? The question was, did we bend the curve? Did we start moving things in the right direction? We did pre-K for all, which put a lot of money back in people's pockets, in addition to helping kids. And 3K for all. We did paid sick leave. We did a lot with union contracts to improve the standard of working people. We went a whole host of things. Obviously, $15 minimum wage. Worked for higher taxes on the wealthy. In the end, the independent budget office said we actually did bend the curve. We actually changed things from the policies of Bloomberg and started to reduce income inequality. Now, could I control, God help us, a pandemic and the wealth that accrued to the 1% in the pandemic, which is a painful story unto itself? No, I'm not. I think we have so much work to do to try and bring a little more equality, to try and get back, ironically, to the time of Dwight Eisenhower, when we had much more shared prosperity and much higher taxes on the wealthy. We have tons of work to do. But to your point, I thought I could do something, and I did do something. I mean, people are very kind about pre-K for all. And
You think that's your kind of signal achievement?
absolutely, and I'm very proud of it. But what I'm proud about, it was first and foremost motivated by feeling for kids and my own children's experience. But it was also about trying to level the playing field more and give every kid the same start and every opportunity. My point in that is that solving income inequality? No. Is that actually tangibly moving the needle and giving, and there's been about 500,000 kids who got pre-K for all since we put it in 10 years ago. That, when you can change 500,000 lives for the better, that's not the same thing as, megalomania or narcissism or thinking you can solve everything. It's, can you start something? Can you inspire bigger change? Can you credentialed a huge number of young leaders who are now going to serve the Mamdani administration. We gave a lot of them their start. We gave them a lot of them the elevation that they could go on to higher roles. It's about contributing. So from my point of view, I hope this kind of personality type, I certainly see this in Mamdani, is grounded in understanding the magnitude of the challenge. But we are part of, and I'm sorry to be poetic here, we're part of a 200-year tradition of progressive people, the labor movement, the left-wing movements all around the United States and around the world, trying to create a more equal and fair society. And every generation passes off to the next generation. Every leader passes off to the next leader. I'm just ecstatic watching Mamdani. I could do some things. I think he'll be able to do more. And that's the idea. We're in a relay here. We pass the baton to the next person to run the next leg. And so I think that's the healthy way to look at it, to have a sense of agency, to have a sense of impact, but understand you're part of a much, much bigger multi-generational puzzle.
As someone who's not a progressive, and if somebody said, hey, I'm going to hire you to give progressives some advice on certain things, one of the things that I would say was to be careful about making, look, I agree that you did the pre-K stuff, and that remains, and that's an achievement.
And it was universal for all people, all backgrounds.
Yes, and so when I hear Mamdani making promises about rents, I think that's dangerous. And I don't think it's dangerous in the Milton Friedman way, that this is bad economics. I think it's dangerous because it's not going to work. And what it does for progressives, and I say this as this is me in my role that no one would ever want me to do, to advising progressives politically. I say the same thing to the Trump people, is that the MAGA types are like, oh, these tariffs are going to bring factories. Like, no, they're not. And guess what? Someone's going to notice that sometime.
By the way, they were going to end the Ukraine war on the first day.
The first day. It was like, you make these promises And it's not even about if those promises materially affect somebody. It doesn't materially affect somebody in Kansas if the Ukraine war doesn't end in the first day. But there's an accumulation of this stuff that when it doesn't happen, particularly in a very educated place like New York, which has become more educated and more wealthy over time.
The whole country has.
The whole country, which is a great thing.
This is the most educated generation in history right now.
But when you say, like, I just see the people with the freeze the rent signs in their brownstones where you and I live that cost $3 million. And I'm like, it's not even the economics of it, which I think are crazy, but it's the idea that this is going to materially create more opportunities for people to get cheaper apartments is, to me, lunacy. But my thing about that is not to debate that policy with you, because you and I disagree on this, and that's boring. But it's that, what do you think is for progressives when you make big promises like this and they don't happen? Because the thing about it is New York has had liberals, David Dinkins, who you knew, you worked with. Yeah. He wasn't a progressive in the sense that Zohran was. You were kind of I think that you were kind of a starter kit for him, because you were very much a progressive, but it was kind of tempered by, the politics of the time and everything. Zohran's coming in, hard. He's like, I'm going to rule and govern as a progressive. Of course, he's going to be hobbled by Albany, hobbled by the governor, as all this stuff that you have to deal with. But don't you worry that progressives are going to overpromise and then it's going to hurt the movement?
Well, I'll answer you, but with a preface. Politics is evolving rapidly. Yeah. The MAGA movement is one form of evolution, but before
towards progressivism in some ways, by the way.
Well, in a funny way.
Yeah.
But the same pattern was happening on the left with the Bernie Sanders campaigns.
Yeah.
And, I came along in 2013, and Bernie came along in 2015 and 2016, and before me was Occupy Wall Street. I mean, there's been a series of things that have been adding up, but Bernie's really the seismic piece in this. You have a reality now that I think Mamdani is taking what the Bernie movement started and trying to build upon it. And he's trying to build a new politics, which is audacious, but absolutely appropriate after we've seen for the last decade the left evolve in America and the right evolve in America. So this notion of like, oh, we're static. I mean, I know you don't think that, but
no,
I'm
I don't.
saying, but I'm to frame and then to get to your answer. I think the big reality here is a recognition that we're in an incredibly fertile time, a time of big change and big realignment. And that's what's driving some of his action, because he sees it as a way to set up much bigger change ultimately. Yeah. And I appreciate that. And he has the ability and the moment to grab. To the question of raising expectation, I said we were going to do pre-K for all. People, many observers thought it was preposterous. I said we would create or finance 200,000 affordable apartments. People told me it was insane. We did these things. He's going to do these things in one form or another. The fast and free buses, by definition, is going to take time, but it is a viable policy. It exists in different places around the world, even around the United States. It can happen.
I mean,
over
no
time.
one pays for buses now anyway. So
well, not entirely true, but
it's come on, it's true.
No, it's not true. Come on, I take the subway all the time and the buses all the time, and people, a huge percentage. Of people
no one pays at my stop.
Okay, well, then
I'm totally serious. Yeah,
you have
totally
a reckless.
I have a reckless. The Utica stop is a bit reckless.
You're anarchistic stop.
Anarchist. This is like the Lysander
This is your libertarian influence on your stop.
I'm an anarcho-capitalist at this point.